Where's my camera? Awesome. Where's my camera? Hello, hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. It is Tuesday. It is life. It is only a decision. We had a few little technical things going on, so I hope everybody is having a great and wonderful day. We're going to go ahead and jump into what I wanted to talk about today. It's been a while since I've been on, and I've had a lot going on, and I'm sure everybody else has had a lot going on also. But, sometimes in life, we really have to change the landscape of what we're going through. We have to change the landscape of our mind, the landscape of our why, the landscape of everything, taking a step back and reflect. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that do not believe in reflecting. It's like, oh, it passed, it happened, I'm not going to worry about it. And I even saw something the other day that was saying, believe it or not, that sometimes it is okay not to forgive. Now, I didn't agree with that one because it's never okay not to forgive. But I think what happens is that we tend to believe that forgiveness and reconciliation go hand in hand. And that is not necessarily true. They do not go hand in hand. But as we're looking to move forward in our lives, as we always are looking to do, we know that life is a decision. Everything that you read about success has to do with choices, has to do that you make the right decision. Are you doing the right things? It's an attitude of the mind. And many of us have done the right thing. We've checked all the boxes, and yet sometimes we find that things just still are not going the way we would like them to go, or that it's more of a struggle for some than it is for others. And why that happens sometimes, I just don't know. But other times, I believe that it happens because of reason number one, a clear direction, a clear train of thought. And it can't be too arbitrary. Sometimes it can, meaning this. Some people, their idea of success is I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do this, and they just head for it. Others may say, look, I'm going to be successful come heck or high water, whatever I need to do. So they will bob, weave, and move any way that they need to. So, what you could say is number one, a clear direction, a clear idea in your mind of a goal that you desire to achieve. And then what are you willing to do to get there? Some people are saying, you know what, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to do what I need to in that vein. Others may say, you know what, I went to school, I tried it, it didn't work, I need to try something else. But my goal is still to hit that target. So whatever that target is that you're looking to do, then you have to have a clear change of your landscape. So if something happens and goes wrong, what are you going to do? What are you going to put in place for you to still hit that goal? So you may have to change the landscape of how you think, change the landscape of how you spend your money, change the landscape of who you hang out with, your train of thought. They say birds of a feather flock together. And that is a true statement, because typically people who are not like-minded or going in the direction that you're going, they won't get it. It's like they won't understand why you have to sacrifice. I work with a number of clients sometimes on their taxes, and I tell them, if you want to achieve this goal in your finances, you can't do what your friends do. You're going to have to create that budget. You're going to have to create your no spend days. You will have to do something. And you may have to look at your friends and say, if you're not paying, I'm not going. Why? We're changing the landscape of what we do in our lives so that we can move on. The next thing, number 2, is you may have to get some therapy. You may have to do reading. You may have to sit down with yourself and ask yourself the why. Like, why do I do something? Why do I not do something? Why do I not want to do something? Why am I not willing to do something? There's always a reason. And sometimes those reasons are external. Sometimes those reasons are internal. Sometimes those reasons are just trying not to be one thing and you end up being what you don't want to be, because you've created the behaviors that are just counteractive, if that makes sense. The one thing you don't want to be, we end up being. Why? Because we're focusing on that thing instead of focusing on the opposite. Well, how do I not become that? Well, what are some traits that I might need to do? So one of those things is sitting down with yourself. Sitting down with yourself. Because sometimes if you don't do that, that probably should be number 1, because until you sit down and erase the landscape or start plain and clear, you won't know how to even create that target for what you want. Everything does start and end and begin with us. Now, I really don't like sometimes when people say it's all you, it's all you, it's all you. No, there are always antecedents. There's always a trigger. There's always something that produces something else, the law of motion or inertia. So what was it? And the only thing that we're responsible for is our response. We are responsible for our response. Sometimes I heard somebody say, somebody apologized to me, but then they said, but this is what you did. And they wanted to negate that apology. Maybe not. There's in the book by Gary, I think it's Gary Smalley, he did the 5 languages of apology. Everybody, just like they have different love languages, they hear different on apology. Why? Based on the landscape of their heart, the landscape of their mind. So sometimes we may need to go back and say, well, tell me more. Like, why did that bother you? What did you hear when I said that? What emotion did that evoke in you? And now we begin to get understanding. So now we go, okay, now I know why you felt that way. And then why you responded. Now I know why your apology does have some weight. It does mean something. So many times we really should sit down with ourselves and ask ourselves, why? That old saying, or when people say, well, that's just the way that I am, but that's not a good reason to continue in something, because maybe the reason you're doing it is based on a faulty foundation. It's not going to get you where you think you should. And then on the other side of that, we have to also, I'll make that one number 3 as I get to it. So number 1, clear focus, a target. What do you want? And then you put those blinders on, like that horse, and those blinders on, and you don't look to the left and you don't look to the right. If it's not going to produce the goal in you, then you can't do it. You go, you know what? My goal was to save so much money. I can't spend this. I can't do that. Or I had something come up, so now I need to make another decision over here. The point is you stay focused on the goal that you desire. And then number two, reflection, sitting down with yourself. I've read and I've been listening to a number of podcasts again that talk about writing it down. What are you feeling? Getting it out, and then finding and understanding the root. Now, sometimes you can do it on your own, just through journaling, through reading, and just say, well, why do I do that? Well, what makes me scared? What makes me upset? Why do I get triggered? Where was the first time I noticed that emotion coming up in me? Oh, okay. Now I know why I was afraid of this. Now, others may need to seek therapy, and I do encourage you to do that if that is something that you need to do that's going to help you get to your next goal. Remember, we're looking at the landscape. We want to change the landscape of our mind, even the landscape of our emotions, so that we're not running around triggered all the time. I mean, the goal is to be able to manage those triggers, manage those emotions, manage that mindset. And then the third one that I'm going to end us with today is birds of a feather flock together. You have to be aware of who you are around. Who are they going to get you to your goal? Or are they not going to get you to your goal? Are you associating with them because it fits the need in your life right now? Oh, I just want to have some friends to hang out with. I don't want to be by myself. But they're not getting you to your goal because now you have to spend money that's going to go outside of your budget, or they may not have the same thought process you, so you can't be your true authentic self. And not that everybody has to agree with you or like what you say, but birds of a feather flock together. There's going to be those people. There's a saying that we say in the Christian community, of scripture that says iron sharpens iron. You want people that are going to hold your feet to the fire, keep you accountable to your goals, and then help you celebrate them when they occur. So that third one is going to be, who are you hanging out with? I have found that simply by changing what you watch, what you read, who you associate with, it literally can shift your entire life. It literally can shift your entire life. And I'm going to bring up number 4 also. Number 4 gets a lot of pushback these days, what we call fake it till you make it. I don't know where it went left, but it went left. And it used to be, when you thought about faking it till you make it, it just meant that I'm not going to put myself in debt, but I'm going to dress like what I want to look like, what I want to be. I'm going to do what I can do that others are doing who have already achieved what I want to achieve. And I'm going to look like that now as I'm working towards it. It wasn't like I just want to look like a filter on social media. I'm going to filter my face. Haven't done any workouts, haven't created a skin regimen or anything, but we can put that filter on. That would be a fake it, because you're not doing the work. But the goal is to do the work. Sometimes you just have to dress up. It doesn't mean you have to buy anything fancy, but it just means change the landscape of how you present yourself to those around you. Okay. Just like if you see someone driving up in let's say, a Ferrari or a Cadillac versus a putt-putt. But then, and sometimes you can't even say that, because nowadays, it used to be in the old days, I mean, I'm old enough to know some of these things, that if you could not afford to buy a Mercedes, you did not have a Mercedes. Now it doesn't matter. They've made things so flat that anybody can have them. But I think you get my point. You want to present yourself into the environment of who you are. And there's something to be said about how you present yourself. I mean, I know we live in a day and age where you come as you are, it doesn't matter, but I find that people will get mad, or they get a little ticky. I'm sure you've recognized that. If you come in dressed to the nines, or just well presented, let's just say. You didn't just roll out of bed and throw on some flip-flops or some shoes and some blue jeans or whatever and just go out into the workforce. You probably put a little effort in it. And you'll find sometimes that when you do that, you might get those little sneers. But what's the point? It does have a great impact on how others see you and how you see yourself. I never forget, one day I bought a new pair of pants, and they had been sitting in the closet for a while because they were too big. They're not too big now. I can definitely fit them. They're a nice trouser, a very nice heavy material trouser with a nice lining in it. Man, you can't tell me anything. I put on those pants and I get compliments. I have a simple top on, the same shoes I used to always wear, but yet I'm presented way different. And I thought, wow, this feels good. This is who I am. This is me. So why do I say that? Is because again, birds of a feather flock together, and then how you present yourself. Sometimes when you're around people, they're not going to want you to look better than them. They're not going to want you to present better. So sometimes you have to change your surroundings because you're going to do what you do no matter what. Or they're not going to spend. They might spend recklessly. You're not looking to do that. So going back, number one, what did we say? Number one was in changing our landscape, and that was have a target. What do you want? What goal are you looking to achieve? Whether it be in business, whether it be in family, whether it be in your faith, whether it be in your in your job and owning a business. What is it? And then what does it look like? How do you what are the tasks that you need to write down so that you know the steps you need to take to hit that goal? And then the second thing, what did we talk about? Reflection, understanding why are you the way that you are? It may be good and it may be there might be some qualities that need to change. You may need to sit down and understand, well, why am I triggered for this? Or why does that bother me here? That's number three. And then number two. And then number three, we said birds of a feather flock together. If you can't change your physical environment, there are podcasts, there are books, there are YouTubes, there's a myriad of things of resources that are out there for you to begin to renew, to begin to change the landscape of your mind. When you change the landscape of your mind, you will ultimately change your behaviors because we do what we think. We are what we think. They say we are what we eat. We are also what we think. So I want you to think about that. And then number four, consider just for kicks and giggles, try it if you haven't done it. And it doesn't need to be anything outlandish or anything over the top, but you might just add maybe add a nice heel with those blue jeans. Or if you're a guy, put on a nice blazer with those blue jeans. It doesn't have to be deep. I promise you, watch how you feel. Watch how you begin to interact differently in your 6 degrees of separation, in the world around you, what's expected of you. And don't let anybody think less of you. You're going to think more of you. So I hope that helps you today. This was Dawn Marie Alexander Borsico, the host of the Process 319 Unleashed with Dawn Marie and your Uncommon Voice Coaching Consulting. Stay tuned this week. If you haven't followed me on Facebook or Instagram, the Process Unleashed, it has a kind of a new name, is coming back live and in person. So stay tuned. Make sure that you follow me on YouTube so that you can get notifications when that show is coming up. And I will be announcing what our first subject matter is going to be in just a few more hours, or maybe a day or two. But look, it was great being with you. I hope you leave your comments in the chat. I would love to hear from you. Also, let me know what you may be interested in learning about when we look at life as a decision. What are you struggling with? How can we help you with that today? Otherwise, have a great day. I will see you guys next week and keep on smiling. Bye.